here. So maybe this is actually working, even though it's not working.
Oh, no, it's on now.
What?
When you restarted, it started. Okay.
Great. I'm glad that now we've recorded 15 minutes of bullshit.
Well, right. So it started exactly where we picked up right now. So we have to do the whole opening again.
Wait, what? All right, so I'm Maddy.
I'm Ryan. Welcome to the final episode of Insomniacs in the Morning. This is
the Insomniacs and we didn't fuck it up 60 times.
This is insane. The first thing that we just said was that we are so happy to never deal with Google Hangouts ever again. Like, it's so bad. It's just not a good service.
I love it personally. And
okay,
really
cool. Well, we'll use this for the rest of eternity then. And James is here. He says hello. Hey, James. I woke up this morning and I have like a cold or the flu. I don't really know. I'm a little under the weather, so I've got tea. I already ate. I woke up and I guess I have the fucking tea virus, so that's cool.
The tea virus.
I'm gonna become a zombie. So zombie. Throwback to things that nobody remembers.
We're still gonna do the final stupid episode of this show, which I shouldn't call stupid because people are gonna really miss it. And
yeah, we've actually gotten a lot of.
I'm not gonna miss Google Hangouts.
Well, you know what's interesting is that in the last episode, the chat and also emails we have gotten and Twitter have all stated that people are going to miss this, which is great. I didn't realize that many people listen to our show. I'm sorry, everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this show is just us talking and being really boring, honestly. And I was really hoping that for our next show, we would do a better job of not doing that.
As you can see, it's Sunday and Maddie and I are still not awake at all. Like,
oh, well, that's normal.
I mean, that's true. That's totally true. So this is the final episode of Insomniacs in the Morning. And we're not doing it anymore because I'm working multiple jobs. So like it's possible for me to do a podcast, but just not in the morning, turns out. So I'm not doing any of that stuff. But, you know, Insomniacs was I put this in the thing, but I mean, like, this show was purposely, it wasn't even like for anyone. It started off as something that we wanted to do together to sort of wake ourselves up because we were both in a bad place at the time.
Yeah, but it was also because, you know, we both had jobs that didn't start until later in the day. And
we were talking about doing something and Maddie had this idea. She was like, do you think it would be interesting to do a podcast where we woke up in the morning and gave exercise tips and talked about nerdy shit and like talked about food? I was like, yeah, sure. So what ended up happening is that, like, you know, we started getting up in the morning to do this show at like 9 a.m. and really we'd roll out at like 8:45.
Mm-hmm.
But over the time that we did this, it actually ended up making me get out of bed earlier every day for the most part, except for weekends.
You're a hero who wakes up at 5:45 a.m. every day and runs
for work. Yeah, and I know I do that. So I guess it worked because I'm waking up and I'm exercising first thing in the morning, which is not a thing I've ever done before, but I'm doing it now. Except for the blizzard. There's a blizzard again. We had one 2 days ago. Now we have like another blizzard because Storm is just having like an emotional breakdown. I don't know, something about screaming about Mother Nature.
I mean, honestly, we deserve it at this point because we've been really giving Mother Nature a battering for the past few decades. But
yeah. So, I mean, it definitely helped me. It helped me like eat a little bit better. It helped me like actually get up and start working out. But mostly it helped me start getting up in the morning because it was something that I didn't think I could do. And here I am. I am awake somewhat at 10 a.m. I mean,
yeah,
I think that's the funny part.
I think there's lots of stuff about this show that I'm gonna really miss. And I mean, we've sort of talked about reprising it in different forms, and maybe someday we will. Like the fact that we have a weekly news show. And sort of we do movie reviews and we do a bunch of different kinds of things. We are changing the format of what we're going to do going forward. And we're about to talk about that. But this is a unique show that I am going to miss. I've never done a weekly morning show or a weekly news show in my life. I've done a lot of different things. Ryan's done a lot of different types of shows, but this was totally new for me and it was really fun.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it could come back someday in some form, or we'll change the format or do something else. We might still do, like we've talked about, like maybe a monthly news show or other types of shows where you and I talk about news or ourselves or
whatever nerdy stuff. I know some people were like, oh, but now you're going to talk primarily about the X-Men. I was like, yeah, we already do that. He's like, yeah, but now it's primarily.
Yeah, it is going to be different. It
So,
will be because we aren't going to be able to talk about. We're still going to talk about some news stuff on this show this week.
Yep, we are. We have a plan. We're not leaving you guys in the dust.
But after this, we aren't going to necessarily talk about Resident Evil, for example, because we're going to have an X-Men show. So anyway,
I mean, I'll miss that.
Next,
but we just had a whole wave of Resident Evil stuff come out, so I think we're good. I don't think anything's going to happen for a while.
Yeah, we're going to close out on Resident Evil this week.
If you really want Resident Evil, I'll have a different show about that. So
yeah, sure.
Technically, not really. I'm thinking about video games, like doing a Let's Play. I'm really out of it, guys.
It's okay. Okay, so after this, we talked about this last week, but if you didn't see last week or listen to it yet, we're going to do a podcast called The Mutant Ages, and we're going to rewatch every cartoon episode that's ever been made for X-Men.
Really
and the first one for that is Pride of the X-Men, which is a cartoon that came out in 1989. It's a pilot for a show that never happened.
Yep. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at The Mutant Ages, and of course we'll post it all up to Atomic Blue, but we're gonna talk about every episode. We're gonna laugh at it.
Out in iTunes and stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna highlight a specific X-Men per episode, and I don't know, like build a ritual like circle around them.
Build a ritual circle. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of black magic involved in the show. That'll be what it takes to get us to do it. No, but for real, I think it's going to be easier because we're just going to do an audio only show. We're not going to try to do a live video show again.
Yeah,
and so I also think that's what people are going to potentially miss is the fact that
video part. We'll miss the interactions that we have with people live, but I will not miss Google Hangouts. So
me either. This already sucked.
I guess for a free service, that's what we get, but whatever. But the Mutant Ages, we're going to be, we'll talk about the episode, and we're going to talk about like the politics it relates to. We're going to talk about which X-Men is the gayest in that episode, because that is a huge metaphor with the X-Men.
It's not a metaphor.
I mean, it's pretty obvious. I mean, they're all bisexual and dating. I had a rant on Twitter in case y'all missed it. So
yeah. All right. And then I know Let's Watch Two Movies has been on hiatus for a long time because that show is really hard to schedule, but we are going to record another episode of that this week. And I guess I'll just say going forward, we're just going to put that out. Mary Ellen and I are just going to put that out as often as we can. But it
was cool to do weekly, but I think that's a lot for any person to do. I think
it's a lot, and it's a lot of movie watching. It's a lot of movie watching and scheduling.
Absolutely.
But we'll just put that out as often as we can. I know people really love it, so we'll just be putting that out. Hopefully the snow will not deter us, and then we're gonna try to do some other videos for you because this will be gone. So we're gonna go see Logan together, and that means that we'll probably make a video of ourselves.
Right. So I had previously talked about doing a new vlog, and I've decided that it's too much time out of my schedule to be doing a daily vlog. But I was talking to Maddy about this, and we have this new idea, or I do, that it's called Atomic TV, and essentially it's going to be vlogs when like our whole group gets together and we do something, and especially like behind the scenes stuff that when we're making something, like I'll vlog then. So they won't be that often, but it'll be like a change. We'll change it up a bit, and you can catch that and catch what it's like when we're actually awake and with people that we like.
So we can do some sort of Insomniac-y things for that, because we can still review Logan for you and talk about it potentially.
And we're going through some GENO scripts right now, and we do have a Leon on Jill script confirmed, and
we do. It's going to be really hard to do.
I'm really excited about it, and we have a couple throwback theaters that we've talked about, so those are coming. And we also mentioned last week that there was going to be some music videos for Maddy's stuff that we're going to make when the summer rolls around.
And you want to bring back Let's Plays with Steph or Mary Ellen or whomever.
Well, I'm hoping Mary Ellen and I can get on Alien Isolation at some point, but we're both a little busy right now. But Steph and I are going to do a Let's Play that's, you won't see our faces, but you'll be able to see the gameplay and listen to us like curse a lot. So it's going to be fun, and we're talking about doing that. We're pretty excited, and to get Steph excited about something is always a good thing. So
yeah, for sure. So I think that's it for us. There's a couple other things on here, but
there's like a couple other podcasts coming out, and
so I mean, we still have the Patreon, and if there's stuff that you really want us to make or you really miss something like this, like a talk show, then you can let us know, and
you can support our Patreon
or what have you.
Here's a question for all of you, and you can, if you're not live, that's fine, you can email us or you can tweet at us, but like, what are some pledge rewards you want to see, because when we started the Patreon, we didn't really know what we were doing. Surprise, like pretty much everything we do.
Let's not pretend that we know now what we're doing. We continue to not know, and that's where you come in.
Yeah. So if there's any ideas that you have, like anything that you would like to see at a pledge level, or like any ideas, tell us, because we'll make it happen.
And even if you don't pledge to the Patreon, that's totally fine. You can still let us know stuff that you want to see. We love hearing from you. And
right. And if you
got a bunch of reader mail this week that I'm excited to get to. But first, we have to talk to you about workout tips, because this is Insomniacs.
Oh my God. So, okay, I'm going to open this by saying I do have workout tips, but since I'm sick right now, my workout tip right now that's really important is that even if you like have the flu or the cold, getting out and walking, like not anything extensive, because you don't want to like, hurt yourself, but like, going outside and getting some fresh air. And like, for me, I walk the dog, so not everybody has that available to them. Now Maddie's sick. Cool.
I know. I've had a cold for like 2 weeks. You know that.
Yeah.
I hope you don't have what I had.
Well, we're just constantly sick, so that's cool. But get out there and walk around, and like just do a walk around the block, because getting the fresh air helps you. It's a little tougher in the summer, but just moving around and getting your blood flow going will, get all that gunk that's in you moving, and then you'll probably be not puking, but you'll be coughing that up, which isn't pleasant, but at least it makes you feel better, because like it, that when you do, it's sort of like, oh, I feel a million times better than I did 20 seconds ago. So that's my
that, and spicy soup is always great for that.
Yeah. And eating straight garlic totally kills everything.
Ryan always recommends straight garlic whenever anyone has a cold, and it does really work.
It does. I mean, or anything that you have, because like essentially it burns out the bacteria, so that's cool.
Yeah. So I've had a cold too, but I finally feel like I've gotten over it a little bit, and so that meant that I got to go skiing yesterday. So that's my workout tip. If anybody has the opportunity to learn how to ski or go skiing, it just in terms of exercise to do, it's so freaking fun. It's a really expensive hobby, so I realize this is like not something that everyone can do. But if you have friends who can teach you how to ski or can lend you some skis, and you just have the opportunity to try, it's really great. And so on this show, we've talked a lot about like squats, and skiing. If you do a lot of squats, then you're going to be great at skiing, because basically when you're skiing, you're sort of in
squatting the entire time in the woods.
So Ryan would be great at it if he ever tried it, I think, for real.
I mean, yeah, I probably would be, but I think also there's that part where I fall down a lot, so be prepared for a whole lot of that.
That is that skiing, if you fall down, it really doesn't hurt that much, especially yesterday, because it's been snowing in New England all week, so it was like very, very fluffy snow, and that's the greatest. It's like skiing on a beautiful
it's snowing right now. I would take the webcam and show you, but you don't need to. You need to see it.
It's snowing right now.
It's supposed to snow until tomorrow morning, so we're just gonna get another 3 feet of snow. That's gonna. Oh, here's a fun story.
I'm a little worried, because Mary Ellen and I were definitely gonna record Let's Watch 2 Movies this week, and it's gonna snow like 4 times. And I'm
this is what happens every February in New England anyway. Like it just, it's cold, and then February we get
this week, then it's the snow's fault. But anyway, back to skiing. So I skied a bunch. I had a great time, and then when I woke up today, my body was definitely sore from working out. It's weird because it doesn't feel like you're working out when you're skiing. It just feels fun and exciting, and like you're just doing something fun. But then the next day you can definitely feel it, and so that's awesome. That's like the greatest kind of exercise there is.
That is the greatest kind of exercise.
And also shoveling
Kurt in
snow.
Here in chat just mentioned that falling down is how you slow down, so that's cool.
That's true. Or you do the pizza. All right, cool. So I was gonna give some shoveling snow tips, but we can move on if you want. I guess I just would say, like,
do squats, take care of yourself. I think
don't pick up the huge pile and then hurt your back really badly, because we've got a long winter ahead of us, folks.
Yeah, we really do. And they like to put all the snow behind my car, so that's cool. I was going to mention that my actual workout tip this week was to sort of, when you work out, I mean, I know we all bring our like phones and stuff with us and like listen to music or watch something, and I get that. I'm all about that. But I just got a new iPhone, so I've been like very picky about not using it when I like work out, because I don't want to break it. So I just disconnect, and like an hour or two goes by while I'm working out, and like, well, not that long, but like an hour goes by.
Sometimes if you're walking Lyra and doing like a big hike.
Yeah, well, that's true too. But then I come back, and it's been very rewarding on my mind and my body. So it's not like, because you get stressed out when you're looking at your phone, because even if you're listening to music and you see the messages come in, and you ignore them, it's in your brain. Then it's too late. Like, you've already seen that somebody is trying to reach you. So that was my big tip, along with just drinking a ton of water, because that's my new thing, is just drinking gallons of water every day, and you may feel so much better, and you also feel like a fish.
Yeah, water
or some kind of a aquatic shark type thing. I don't know.
Yeah, you're like a shark. You gotta keep going. You can't stop. You just gotta keep going.
I know. I mean, like, there's blood in the water, and I'm just going for it.
Oh my god.
Were there any workout tips that really like stuck with you that we gave each other over the year?
I don't know. I actually really liked your recent one where you were talking about how you divided up different workouts throughout the day. I haven't actually tried that yet, but I'm going to. I know it sounds like I'm not going to because I haven't done it yet, but I was sick. But that's like a recent one that I thought was really interesting. And
it really works. Yeah. And with the snow, I haven't been able to like go, running around in the woods, but I've got an exercise bike, so that's kind of like the same idea.
Yeah, for sure. Also, like, this is totally random, but like I recently visited our friend Samantha, and she has one of those little desk cycles. It's like a tiny exercise bike thing that you just put under your chair.
What?
It's tiny. And she just does that while she's
I have no idea what this is.
It's a cycle. It's a desk cycle, and you just put it under your chair, and it basically turns your chair into an exercise bike.
That's a fancy name. That's a very fancy name.
Yeah, and so I'm like, all right, I could just get one of those. So I've been looking.
I mean, that's not a bad idea.
Maybe I'll get one
because
of those.
you sit around all day. I mean,
I do.
Not because you're like lazy. It's because you're a writer. So like you literally get up and that's what you have to do.
I mean, there's no other way around it. So anyway, Samantha's also a writer, and so she has that. So, but mostly what I've been thinking about is just how to fit workouts into my schedule, and that's a tip that we've given many times over the past year.
Yeah.
Just like different ideas about how to do it, like working out while you're working out, take a 15-minute break every 2 hours or something like that. Like, we've come up with so many different ways to try to do it. And those are things that have really stuck with me and that I think about a lot during the week, and like how to make it happen, because I feel like shit if I don't move around. And yeah.
I think there's been a couple things for me. It was, you gave me some weight tricks that I started using all the time. Where, like the one where we hold it over your head and you go like this.
Yeah.
Because everybody listening to this, they can't see the video and knows what I'm doing, but I'm waving over my head dangerously. And the 3-point one where you like go from your sides to your front to up. That's a terrible description. You know what I'm saying though.
This one.
Yeah. That one's great. And
yeah, I still did that one.
I think the best tip you gave is the one where you essentially said, if you're gonna do like a cardio video, like kickboxing or like whatever, what's his name that like jumps around, Billy Blanks, Billy Boyd. Oh my god, I'm really out of it. And putting on your own music as opposed to listening to because that was a deterrent for me for so long. And it's like, stupid, Ryan, you could just turn the volume off and like listen to what you want to listen to, and it's significantly better. Like, maybe you want to dance to like some Kill Switch Engage or like a Mega Man soundtrack,
Gaga, some old school stuff.
That too. So speaking of which, let's jump right into pop culture news. So Lady Gaga is at the top of our list. Also
because we both enjoyed her halftime show a lot.
Because I wasn't expecting to, because I haven't been paying attention to her for the past couple of years. But she showed up.
She kind of retired for like a second.
Yeah. Well, she did some like jazz stuff for a little while.
Yeah, but she wasn't really like doing much. And I don't really blame her, because she's talked about it and has done songs about feeling like the music industry is oppressive and difficult to exist in. And that's kind of just difficult. And she's also really young. She's our age, which is weird.
Maddie keeps like getting weirded out by that.
Well, I'm weirded out by it because I know what we were like when we were 22, and she was super famous then, and like under a ton of stress and like writing hit pop songs, but also she's talked about like struggling with eating disorders and like struggling with her own mental health and stuff, and like sexual assault and like all these things that happened to her in those times. And like I think those are things that like a lot of very young 20-somethings struggle with, but usually they don't also have to do it in the public eye while like, trying to invent a cool persona.
I mean, that's pretty impressive.
seems tough. So I have a lot of sympathy for her just as a fellow human. But
Well, yeah. I mean, we also have sympathy for Britney Spears for the same reason, where she wasn't able to like sort of have a life,
yeah.
which is kind of
I mean,
fucked
that's
up.
kind of what happens. And I think
Yeah.
people don't realize how incredibly shitty that would actually be. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, it looks so fun to be really famous and successful. And it's like, well, what looks fun about that to you? But
I mean,
anyway,
like
Lady
everything you
Gaga's
do,
always been
people are
really good
judging.
at it anyway, in spite of how hard it is. And
Well,
so she did
she
a great
showed up to the
halftime
Super
show.
Bowl on the roof, dressed like Dazzler from the X-Men, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And saying, and then jumped off the roof doing flips while still sitting. And some people were like, "Oh, did she pre-record that? She must have." I'm like, "No, because I can hear her breathing."
Yeah, you can hear her messing up a little. She
Yeah,
definitely was
like
saying
that's an insane amount of muscle control. So Maddie and I like sing a lot, or Maddie still does, but for a while, like we did like
Ryan still does.
musicals. I do it by myself. I'm not in a band.
That's
But
okay.
like we were both impressed with that. And then her show was like legitimately really good. I mean, it's not often that you see a Super Bowl show where one artist is the headliner, and like there's usually like a couple others that you hear about, and then maybe that one that pops up. And I sort of
She
feel
didn't
like
have any
maybe
guests. But also what's crazy about that is that she's had so many hits in spite of only really putting out a couple records when she was like in her very early 20s.
yeah,
Almost all of those songs became hits. And I don't know. I mean, whether or not you even like pop music, I think that's pretty respectable.
yeah.
You know?
No, I agree. And I feel like Beyonce may have been originally planned to make an appearance with her because she did
Yeah,
start
because
Telephone.
Beyonce is normally the duet on Telephone.
Yeah, and we were like, is she gonna show up? But
I
she's
want
got twins going on right now, so I don't think
Yeah,
so.
Beyonce's a little busy.
She's a little
That I
busy
was a little
carrying
sad
like
that Beyonce wasn't
bodies
there to
inside of her.
sing Telephone with Lady Gaga, but you can't have everything, I guess.
I mean, Beyonce's great, so I mean,
I
there
know
is
she's
that.
amazing. That was
But
that was another example of a halftime show that I really
we were also
enjoyed.
talking about how like when Telephone came out, she wasn't as huge as she is now. I mean, she was
I mean,
in the
neither of
public
them
eye.
were, but yeah, it's weird to think about that. It's weird to think that like I think she was still like a really big deal, but now Beyonce is like one of the most famous people on the planet.
Yeah, she's actually just like president of the planet.
I wish. All
She's
right,
got
so
like a goddess complex. No, I'm just kidding.
let's talk about video games.
Okay, so as you know, I've talked about how I haven't been able to play Mario Run. At some point, Maddie was like, "Are we going to cover Mario Run?" I was like, "Nope," because I have a Droid. Well, I got an iPhone. I tried Mario Run. It's cute. It's fun. It does have better mechanics than most, side-scrolling running games. But I got bored of it and uninstalled it because I just couldn't verify, or like I couldn't come up with a good reason to spend $10 on the full game, which I think honestly is a good move for them, because I talked about this with Pokemon Go, whereas like I would prefer to pay like $10 for a complete game than like like the shoddy systems that Pokemon Go has, because they keep on sort of like updating it and stuff like that. And that's a problem with a lot of mobile games. So like, I would be up for that, but it's just I kind of got repetitive for me quickly. I guess you can unlock like other characters, and like eventually like you can run around as Princess Peach, which is something I was interested in, or as Yoshi, but I just like didn't get that far. I ended up like being like, I'm bored with this. I actually loved that side-scrolling Sonic the Hedgehog one that nobody else liked a lot more than this, and it's already been, you can't buy it anymore because it did so poorly that they pulled it off all the app stores.
Wow.
Yeah, I know the servers went down and everything. I think you could still download it, but like you can't play it because the servers are down. So
yeah.
like, so I preferred that one a whole lot more than this one. But I think it's slow, so I feel like people that are playing the game for the first time, or like a side-scrolling running game, it would be easy for them,
Or
because
kids.
yeah, I think that's the target audience with Nintendo, especially, which is not the case with Fire Emblem, which is the like first mobile Nintendo app that I've been super addicted to. Like, and we know that I've had an on and off relationship with Pokemon Go because it's a wily bastard. But Fire Emblem Heroes is like really fun for some reason.
Yeah, you're really into it. You were like, Maddie, you got to get this game.
Well,
So tell me why.
I feel like it is a great intro game to the Fire Emblem series, because it's not doing any like the hardcore gameplay that the actual Fire Emblem games require. but it gets you to the idea of like, oh, this is a strategy game, and there's like a bunch of like hot characters in it, which I guess that's new, is that they're all like also flirting with each other.
It's
So
not new for Fire Emblem. They've always been like that. Or at least the
well,
past couple of them. I know there was like a different Fire Emblem like a
well,
couple
Gita's
years
been calling it
ago.
a horny casino because you like are like rolling to see which hot character you're gonna get, you know?
Yeah, I feel like it's only been in the past couple of years that Fire Emblem has been like, all right, let's also just add in some dating sim stuff, and people love it.
I
So there's
mean,
that part of it, but isn't it also just kind of like RPG-y? I have a
yeah,
lot of
I mean
trouble getting into that kind of
it's not
thing.
really like RPG where it's like a turn-based game and you're like walking around and stuff. You just go into battle and it's like a strategy game. So like, have you ever played like the board game Stratego?
No.
Okay, well, or something like that, where it's like a game. I think Stratego is like
How similar
the
is it to
baby
Card?
version of Risk, essentially.
Oh,
We
Risk.
Yeah,
Okay, got it.
where you're like sort of like moving around and like you have to pay attention to where you're moving and like fight other players. Like there's a map you're on. It's top down, so
Mhm.
you sort of are looking at it that way. Um, and it's what's that Final Fantasy game that started this? Tactics.
Tactics, yep.
That's what it
That's what
is.
I was
It's
thinking.
Nintendo's
Now
spin
when
on Final
yeah,
Fantasy
that is
Tactics.
supposed to be like Final
Uh,
Fantasy Tactics.
yeah, and since then, I mean, there's been like a whole bunch of games like that have come out over the years, but this is Nintendo's series, and I
Fire
think it's a
Emblem
good.
Tactics.
Yeah, and I want to date all the boys in it, so that's cool.
Yeah, I think that sounds actually pretty good. If it's more of a tactical game, then I think I would like it more. I get super bored with turn-based
The only
RPGs.
times I like to play turn-based games is like if I'm playing it with somebody else and we're
Or
like taking
Pokemon.
turns and we're like laughing at it. Yeah, Pokemon's different though because you're training your animal to like go and fight a war essentially.
Yeah, but I mean, it's an unpopular opinion that I've said on this show before. I have trouble beating a Pokemon game. I'll really enjoy it for like, a while, and then I'll kind of be like, all right,
I'll
you know?
beat them like once, and then I think Red is the only one that I've played consistently over and over again.
It's so much. I just get too bored.
You know
And I
what's
feel bad,
funny? It's
but
like every single time I restarted Red 2, I was like, oh, I'll pick a different Pokemon this time because I always pick Charmander. I never did.
you
I
pick
like
Charmander again?
I could not break away from Charmander. Like
Yeah.
like I was like, oh, maybe we should do Squirtle this time. No, I really like the
No.
fire Pokemon.
I
Like,
think I also picked Charmander because, we're the same person.
well, that's true. And then
We're
also,
fiery.
I have not spent money on Fire Emblem Heroes yet. I try to not spend money on free to play games because I feel like that's a trap.
It is a trap, but it's also like you don't have that much money, so you're really not in a position to be doing.
Well, I mean, like if I'm gonna spend money on a game, I'm gonna spend money like on a full game. Like
Mhm.
I'm gonna go buy a game and play it.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
So,
All right. So, also I saw Hidden Figures while I was visiting Samantha, and it was amazing, and I really recommend it to anyone. I don't even want to really say anything else about it, but
I have not seen it. I hear
I
that Janelle Monáe steals every scene she's in.
Janelle Monáe is amazing, but I really liked Octavia and Taraji as well. I thought they were all three of them so good, and I just loved it. And I thought that, yeah, I really think everyone should go. And this movie is like selling out every weekend, everywhere. So it's like at the top of the box office. I mean, it's not
That's
selling out.
interesting
You can
because
get
it
a
didn't
ticket.
start off that way because people didn't know what it was, and now
No,
suddenly
it did. It's doing great. This movie doesn't need my recommendation.
No, it doesn't. I mean,
but
like
I'm giving it anyway.
it's got 3 lead actresses that are amazing. So I mean, there's that.
Yeah.
So
And I know some people have kind of been like, it feels like it's kind of by the books and like they could have been a little bit more complicated with it. And I'm like, I mean, maybe, but it's also about 3 characters, and it's really hard to tell a story that's about like 3 different women's journeys and have it be one movie and kind of have it work. Like narratively, that's kind of a challenge. And it's also obviously based on reality. So you have
yeah,
to kind of juggle like the actual facts and be like, all right, which things do we want to kind of change for the sake of the story? And what are we going to do in terms of simplifying this? So just if the only complaint I'm hearing is that it's too straightforward, then like I don't really think that's a real complaint. I think that the movie excels just because of how great the 3 actresses are who are in it, and they just really bring life to a story that's like the hardships that they went through in order to succeed in NASA is like fucking stupid and crazy because racism is insane. But yeah,
yep.
so it's frustrating to watch for that reason because you have to watch them just going through terrible treatment at work. But you know, you also know that they are friends and they're gonna stick together and blah de blah, that kind of shit. You know, go to it, bring some tissues and cry. It's great. Um, yeah, it's great. So anyway, also while I was there,
Yeah.
there's this trailer for this fucking terrible looking movie called The Boss Baby, and we went home and we like wrote an article about it, and it's on my blog.
Like, what the fuck is it?
It's so fucking bad. It
It's
looks
so
terrible.
stupid looking. Like,
So we
a
wrote an
baby
article-
decides that it's going to go to war against dogs.
It's like Alec Baldwin playing a baby, and that alone is already so stupid. And the movie is it looks terrible. So anyway, if you want to laugh at that, you can read an article.
It seems to have that whole like family thing going on where it's like, do the people hear the baby or not? Like,
well, you don't know. None of that makes any sense. It's kind of like a pitch meeting happened for this movie, and then everybody looked at the entire pitch board and they were like, every single idea on there, we're leaving it in. Like, just I don't care that those things contradict each other. We're just gonna leave it all in. We're gonna put everything in this movie.
Yeah.
That's it. Anyway,
that it looks ridiculous. I saw it looks just terrifying.
It.
Who goes to war against dogs? All right, I'm sorry. I just don't understand what the message is there.
I don't either, and I don't plan to find out. All right, so another thing that we're really excited about is that there's going to be a Castlevania animated show on Netflix.
Yeah, on Netflix, and it's going to be written by Warren Ellis and produced by the Adventure Time people.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be like rated R, so it's gonna be fucking insane. Like, who came up with this beautiful baby? Like, you know what I mean?
I don't know. It's such a weird combination of stuff. Like Warren Ellis writing it and the Adventure Time studio animating it is already like a bizarre combo. You know, but it's amazing.
So I'm into it. I'm into it, and I love Castlevania. That's
so we're gonna have to wait a year before that comes out. So let's hope that the planet still exists in a year so that we can see it.
Yeah, or it's gonna be overrun by vampires. You know.
No, I think it'll be overrun by zombies because the next thing we're gonna talk about
is all kinds of Resident Evil.
Blah.
Dun, 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 dun. That's not the Resident Evil song. That's kind of like a
Resident Evil 7. Resident Evil 7.
Well, okay. So first of all, before we even get into that, so I saw Resident Evil Final Chapter last night.
You did, yeah.
And I was going into it being like, this movie's going to be terrible because, like, you know, what I expect of these movies is for them to be like fun cyberpunk goth like zombie slaying movies that are nothing like the video games and just sort of fan fiction-y. So they're fun movies, and I'm into it from that perspective. So I mean, it does open. So you haven't seen the other ones, but like at the end of the last Resident Evil, it involved like Mia Jovovich and like Jill Valentine and Leon Kennedy and Ada Wong and Wesker like on the roof of the White House being like, we're gonna go to war with all this. So that's like instantly like erased, and like Washington DC is just an apocalyptic room, which is ironic now. And all those characters are just like instantly dead. That's not explained at all. They're just dead. They're gone.
Sure.
And, you know, the first thing Mia Jovovich does is go and like fight a dragon. It's supposed to be those like monsters from Resident Evil 5 and 6, but it just looks like a dragon. Then there's like Silent Hill sirens, and she goes and talks to the Red Queen and like is having a heart-to-heart with the laptop. And I was like, this is gonna be a hard sell. But everything after that, I really like genuinely enjoyed like as a movie. It just kind of had like this Mad Max post-apocalyptic world thing going on. You know, they had this whole thing where there was like a religious group that was throwing people out into like onto the back of the truck with a wire, so they were running away from a horde of zombies, because I guess all the zombies can run now, which is not explained at all. But I mean, like, all the characters are great, the shots are great, the fighting is great, the music is always really good, and I was like, this is like a really great, I feel like I'm watching like an 80s sci-fi apocalyptic movie, not a Resident Evil movie. And it's almost a shame that it is a Resident Evil movie, because I'm like,
no one will see it but
yeah,
you.
I know, but like in concept.
So wait, just to interrupt you briefly with a question. I haven't seen all of these because I'm a normal person. I think I probably speak for a lot of our audience when I ask, would watching Resident Evil the Final Chapter be enjoyable for me?
Yes, like, I feel like you don't need to watch the other ones. Well, because essentially what they do is at the very beginning, they're like, they tell the story of all the movies in Umbrella, and it's not even correct. Like they're like, oh, so and so created the T virus. I'm like, no, you already stated that somebody else did it, and like that wasn't even correct, and this is still not correct. But I mean, like they do a whole like quick catch up like montage, and then like it's just it just is good as a standalone movie. Like, you don't need the other ones. You don't need the bullshit of all the other ones, and that's kind of what I liked about it. It was like,
That's kind of great.
this is an
You gotta
enjoyable
check it
movie
out.
without having to watch the first 5.
I don't want to see it in the theaters though because I don't care.
No, that's fine. I'll probably buy it and can watch it that way. I just kind of feel like they just went way off the rails because they were like, this is the last movie, so we're just gonna do whatever the fuck we want. And it's like, why don't you just do that from the beginning? Like, either you should have gone all in or like all out, like not this halfway fan fiction.
I think they struggled with not knowing to what extent they wanted to use the games as a template. And I mean, that's something that we've talked about many times before with regard to those movies, is like, sometimes they'll bring in stuff from the games and then other times they'll be like, no, this is just an action movie starring Mila Jovovich as a character who doesn't exist in the games at all. And it's just going to be another Mila Jovovich action movie. Oh, but wait, maybe we should put in like Jill Valentine or something. Like, you know, like, it's like they couldn't make up their mind about how to go about that. And I don't know, that's kind of too bad, especially because they could have just cast Mila as like one of the amazing women in Resident Evil from the get-go and just had her be Jill or Claire or something.
And that's,
you know,
that's what I was talking about, because I marathoned all the other movies like a week or two ago, and I was talking about how in Resident Evil Apocalypse, Sienna Guillory, who plays Jill, is so good as Jill, and like, you know, some other people tweeted at me and they're like, yeah, but she gets totally sidelined in this movie, and that actress went to the games and like played the games and learned the character, and then just kind of got sidelined for like this weird Alice story. But that's a whole different, we could talk about that a different day. I mean, like, I will say this, it's a fun movie. And how often is it that we get 6 consecutive movies where it's a female lead and she's an action hero and she's really great? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
and like Mila Jovovich is an amazing female action star. Like, I love her work. And I even went to see that terrible movie Ultraviolet, which is about like her fighting vampires, and I don't even fucking know. And
no, I saw that too. Did we see that together? Probably.
No, I saw it. I don't think we did. But I mean, I also say that like Mila Jovovich was one of my first crushes when I was a kid. So like, I have
one of mine too.
Soft spot for her.
She's kind of androgynous. So
she's amazing, and she's like a supermodel also.
Yes, she is. She is. We were talking back when we were first writing GENO when we were 13. We are like, Mila Jovovich should play Kit Fox.
Yep. If she wants to, I'm happy to give up my role.
Maddy can play somebody else. We need more actors.
I don't care. I don't even need to be in it if Mila Jovovich wants to sign on.
What was I gonna say? In all those movies, they star her, and like, I mean, there's guys in it too, but there's sort of sideline for like her and like some other female action heroes. So like in the first movie, it's like her and Jill, then it's like her and Claire, and then her and Ada. So, you know, I mean, I think that's like pretty cool.
A fan fiction that her and her husband directs those movies, right?
Yeah. And like, you know, it's like, it's just him writing, like,
it's like him and her writing a fanfic together where they're like, so our original character Alice gets to hang out with all the Resident Evil characters. And it's like, why is this a movie?
That's what I keep on saying. It's like, it's literally a Mary Sue. Her powers are like not even explained ever. Like, oh my God.
It's like, you know, $1 million franchise, but also like no one is watching it but you. But that can't be true because they keep making them.
Because people, they're actually like, there's like a whole following for these movies. Like there's people who like really generally are just like all about these movies, not because they're good movies, but because they're fun action films, you know?
For sure.
And some of them are Resident Evil fans and some of them are not, you know, like it's just a weird.
Yeah, it's kind of a separate fandom just for the
movies. It's always had sort of like a weird following. And that's cool. So
right on.
So anyway, they did show a trailer for Resident Evil 7 while I was there.
Oh, did they?
They did, which is actually kind of weird. Like, you know, they were like, they showed like a bunch of normal movie trailers and then like the Resident Evil 7 trailer played.
That's so weird. God, video games. Anyway, so we can talk about Resident Evil 7. So Ryan watched an entire Let's Play of Resident Evil 7.
I did, because I don't have time to play it right now.
No, I know. I do.
And I really wanted.
Like, I may as well, because I don't think I can play it by myself.
I mean, at some point I will still play it. Like, do not worry. This is a game I really want to play, because I mean, the Let's Player I watched didn't like read any of the stuff, and that's usually like an integral part about the Resident Evil games. Yeah, but I mean, in terms of just seeing the story, because I wanted to see it play out before 1 billion people were talking about it. That's sort of why I ended up watching it. Is like, I'm like, I should just watch this, and like, because you know, I do data entry all day, so like,
what the deal is.
Yeah. And like, it was so weird, because I remember at first I kept on texting Maddy being like, this game is just not a Resident Evil game. She's like, well, first of all, you're not even playing it, so there's that. Secondly, I was like, well, it is a puzzle game, but it's weird that it's first person. It doesn't have the
It is
Resident Evil
weird that it's
vibe.
first person.
It's just weird at first, and I felt like a lot of it at the beginning of the game was way too reminiscent of Outlast and other, because the horror genre in video games have like completely overflowed all of a sudden, because everybody can play them on their PC, and that seems to be the let's play go-to, because everyone's like, oh, we all want to react and like scream at video games. Yeah,
I
so
think the Amnesia games really changed things too. Like,
yeah,
we're like,
absolutely.
Oh, this is something we could do.
It was just like, it was weird because I was like, oh, it looks a lot like Outlast, and like I don't know if I really want to play Outlast again, because it was fun to play with Mary Ellen, and people love that game, and I'm like, this game is way too long and doing a lot of the same shit, and I thought that was going to be the case with Resident Evil, but like
it's not. It's not that long, right? It's only like 10
no,
hours
it's like a very short game. Because apparently it's incomplete because it's been released, and now they're like, oh, and all the other additional story quests are coming out, and it's like, oh, and you have to pay addition for them, so just wait until that comes out as a bundle, because that is a whole thing they're doing. They're like, oh, they just didn't release the whole game right away. That's what it is. You pay $60 for like essentially a portion of the game, like you play the main story, but it does get better. Like as it goes on, there's some really good writing in there. I don't. Should we? I shouldn't spoil, right? This isn't Let's Watch Two Movies. There's no spoilers on.
No, don't spoil it, because I think
Okay.
I'll probably watch a Let's Play of it.
Okay, I will say that Mia's storyline, because when that when that game starts, like, I'm like, why are we saving Mia? She seems pretty fucking annoying, honestly. She's like, oh my god, babysitting, and I was like, who the hell is this bitch?
You know, your character's married to her, so he probably likes her.
I mean, that's true. And so, she's like, sorry, I lied to you. And you're like, what happened? And like, honestly, when you find out what she did, and who she really is, it's like, I was like, okay, this is really good. This is a really great twist. It's a very Resident Evil twist. I did not see it coming. I assumed that she was going to be like either, babysitting somebody for somebody in the family or something like that. Or like, she just wasn't where she said she was going to be, but like, she just turns out to be a completely different person, and that whole babysitting personality that's annoying and stuff, that's not her. So she never like shows herself to Ethan at any point in time, like who she really is or what her real personality is like. And I was like, holy fuck. So, you'll have to find out what it is, because I'm not going to spoil it for you, because it was really good. And that was probably like my favorite part of the whole game. That and Chris Redfield showing up at the end. So
Chris just shows up and takes off his shirt. It's incredible.
I mean, it's incredible.
Best game ever.
He's actually getting a DLC quest, so you're gonna see.
I would think you'd be excited about that. Much as you will probably be annoyed that you have to pay extra money for the Chris Redfield DLC.
Well, I'll probably end up just waiting until there's like a bundle that comes out for like the same price as the current one. So
sure. So it doesn't affect you at all.
Not really. So I mean, there's that, and I'm pretty pumped about that. And you kill the final boss with a gun called Albert for some reason, just like a throwback to the games. Like, haha.
Interesting. It's almost as though Wesker's secret grandson or whatever is going to come back and date Chris or something.
Well, he's already got a son that's running around with Sherry. Remember Resident Evil 6, the game that nobody else likes?
And we like decided that was what the game was going to be about, and then it wasn't.
Well, they said, okay, at the end of Resident Evil 6, though, they did this whole thing where they did like an epilogue where Jake, which is Wesker's son, like turns out that he's gonna like do things for good, and like they kind of set up like it's gonna be the next Devil May Cry kind of game. You just never heard about it again. But it seems like that's the way that they had been going with it, and I was like, that's too bad that nobody knows what happened.
That's too bad that only you and Steph played any of those games.
We already miss it. We've been playing Warframe, which is a fun game, and Elder Scrolls Online, but we keep on being like, man, we should just go back and shoot zombies, because we're not playing that game because it's like a good story or like a good Resident Evil game. It's just like it's a great game to go and slaughter a billion zombies. So
I mean, sometimes that's what you gotta do.
Sometimes that's the only way you can end the day, and then you get the T virus yourself, like I have right now. You have a different strat. You have the G virus.
I do. You don't want this. I hope I don't have the same thing. All right. So are we good on Resident Evil news? Do we want to move on? Do Throwback?
Chris, if you hear me, please date me. Wait, I should probably specify Chris Redfield. I just like Yeah.
Ryan, I think everyone knows it's Chris Redfield. I think everyone knew.
Just
that's
for the record, I would jump into the bed with Albert Wesker and Leon Kennedy too. Everybody in that game those series is hot. Like the girls and the guys, they're just like all take like
all
half
right, I'm
naked.
gonna take this as a statement that we are in fact done talking about Resident because your response.
What about Wolverine, Maddie? Excuse me.
Right,
James made a joke here. He goes, Ryan is secretly a billionaire who spends all his money buying every copy of Resident Evil.
That would be true.
It would be true.
Awesome.
If I had that much money, I'd like have it all decorated. Be like, guys, isn't Resident Evil great? And everyone be like, Ryan, you need to like probably check yourself in somewhere. Like,
Ryan, you need some help.
Yeah.
Okay. So the throwback this week, we made people vote on it, and it was almost a tie. It was almost going to be the Mortal Kombat movie.
We can still talk about it if people really want, but probably not.
But instead, we're going to talk about the live-action Super Mario Brothers movie. Both great films.
I feel like Mortal Kombat might actually be a better film than Super Mario Brothers.
It's a really tough call because they're both so good that it's just really hard to know how to compare them. And like,
at least Mortal Kombat has like the Mortal Kombat story in
does.
it. Super Mario Brothers
Mortal
is like.
Kombat, it's fun to watch. I think the difference with Super Mario is that it's just so fucking weird and alienating, and like there's so many like visual images in it that are disturbing, like the Goombas, just like as a concept in that movie.
I mean,
why was that the design used?
I love that movie as not a Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah, just like as a weird fucking movie.
Yeah, but like it's not any different from like any of the weird shit that was coming out in the 80s. Like, we all love the Dark Crystal and Labyrinth, which is just as fucking weird. But I think people are just like, wow, this is not a Super Mario movie, and it's a train wreck.
Yeah. People get very hung up on that, and understandably, because it doesn't really seem like it has anything to do with Super Mario.
I mean,
as a game.
It
doesn't. I mean, there's
it's just like mass chaos.
It stops there, and then it's just like a fucking weird movie about like, what if, there was a secret city underneath everything, and there were dinosaurs, and like
who lived in this secret city. And
I'm sorry that I'm also sick. We're both sick. It's fine.
So I know, it's great. Happy Final Insomniacs, guys. Okay, so that movie, number one, they had various.
Do you want to try to summarize it? Like, what are we going to do?
We will. Well, we will do that. But first, I want to say that it had like 8 different scripts, which you can find online.
All of which Ryan has read.
I've read some of them. They're very long, and they're all radically different from each other. One of the earlier ones, like, actually could have been a Super Mario movie. Like, it would have worked. But what they ended up doing is they ended up like colliding a bunch of the scripts together, and they used one which they called the Rainbow script because
it was colliding all the scripts together.
Yeah, and there were so many changes in it that like it literally looked like a rainbow. Like, so all the highlighted different colors and tabs in there, like sticky notes and like crossed out stuff. So it was just like this crazy massive script. And I guess during the movie, or during production of the movie, like directors changed, and like people were changing the entire script in the middle of the movie, and then showing up and the actors already learned their lines, and like, no, we're doing a different script now. And like, Bob Hoskins and what's his name, that played Luigi, Luigi, sure.
Mario, sorry.
The two of them were like, what the fuck is happening? Like, so I think they were talking about how they spent most of that movie wasted, like just drinking nonstop, which explains why throughout the movie, whenever they get together, they just randomly go glug 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 glug. And I was like, why are they doing that? Oh, it's a reference to the fact that they're like, this is so fucked up that they're just gonna they're so drunk right now because this is so fucking stupid. So
I mean, it would also explain why they probably didn't care at all what was happening, or like,
yeah, exactly,
it, because like, what are you even going to do at that point?
It's a fascinating movie from like a production standpoint, because like it just kept, like, I've never seen anything like it where they were literally changing the entire script in the middle of production, but didn't like change the scenes they had already shot.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, the movie doesn't make sense, so the results speak for themselves.
I think like, D2 makes more sense than Super Mario Brothers does. That's
I mean, sure.
All right, so let's summarize this movie.
I think that's not really why you watch Super Mario. Like, you watch the movie because you know it's going to be really bad, and you know that you're not watching it because you're like, this is going to be really good. You know?
You're gonna sit there and you're gonna laugh at it. Like,
So I didn't ever watch this movie with you. Like, you love this movie
I do.
apparently.
I do.
But I just watched it by myself later with like different friends.
Okay.
But so I don't like associate this movie with you, but I think it says a lot about your taste as a person that you
Yeah.
really enjoy the
Like
Super Mario Brothers
chaos,
movie.
sheer chaos for a movie.
You like chaos, but it's also kind of like,
I mean, I also like the new Resident Evil movie.
Cronenbergian imagery and just like
Yeah.
really weird kind of almost horror movie stuff that's
Yeah,
happening.
which is happening in this movie a lot.
Yeah,
Like everything looks terrifying.
it is. It's really scary. And like the kind of the Goombas, which I mentioned, like just visually are really horrifying. And like I think how when you put Super Mario Brothers stuff in real life in terms of like how it visually looks, it like looks terrifying. I mean, that's why the New Donk City thing is a meme now, is because it's like, what the fuck? Why would Mario be in a real city? And I mean, I think this movie capitalized on that before it was even a thing by just being like, all right, great. So Yoshi's real, but he's a literal fucking dinosaur. And like, we're going to act like he's still cute.
Well, everybody is in this movie is also pirate dinosaurs. So they all like have weird, like body parts on them. Like some have like scales on their face. Some have like claws, like,
or like, the horn ridges on
yeah,
his
yeah,
head.
yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. That part of it, I think, is kind of good.
I think it's interesting that
so weird visually.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting that they went with like the Super Mario world, if that makes any sense. Like that's what they went with.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, let's talk about. We have not described what happens in this movie at all.
I don't know how, Ryan. Okay. I don't know how.
So there's Super Mario and there's Luigi. They're plumbers. They spend the whole portion at the beginning of the movie screaming at each other. And then there's like Princess Daisy, who doesn't know she's Princess Daisy. And she's actually kind of badass in this movie. Even though she gets kidnapped, like at the end, she still like is kicking ass.
She's badass for like 1 second. I don't
think
that counts.
Okay, never mind. I take that back.
Over.
Well, okay, so she's digging for dinosaur bones. Like that's what she's doing.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
so
she's like an archaeologist or whatever.
Some like a plumbing company wants to tear it apart to put pipes in, and so they're trying to sabotage like their whole like excavation site. And at some point, like Luigi runs into Princess Daisy. This isn't a Super Mario romance story. This is a Luigi romance story where he
because it's like it's not about Peach, so
yeah.
There
so
you go, doy.
Well, I don't know if Peach technically didn't exist yet. It was just Daisy. But anyway, so the point is that like he meets her over like putting some like quarter, like she needs a quarter to like use a payphone back when that was a thing. So like that's her whole deal. And they like flirt a bunch. And meanwhile, King Koopa has sent like his minions into the real world, and they're like really dumb. They're like stupid henchmen to go and kidnap like the princess, and they just keep on kidnapping like the wrong woman. So they just like keep on kidnapping a whole bunch of feisty like ladies from New York City, including Mario's girlfriend at the time. And eventually like one of them does get Daisy and drags her down into the excavation site, because why not? Like they just couldn't afford like another set, and drags her through a wall, which takes them to another world, which is funny because this is before Mario 64 existed. So the idea of jumping into walls to get to other worlds like didn't exist yet. So anyway, the point is that like they go there, and then Mario and Luigi follow them. That's how they get to Dino Land. And after that, like I can't explain anything that happens. Like Princess Daisy is like kidnapped, and Mario and Luigi are trying to save her, but like it's just sweet. Like okay, Maddie's gonna leave and come back. Maddie can't hear me anymore. Let me know if you guys can hear me, because if you cannot hear me, that would be nice to know. I was wondering why Maddie was typing that entire time and not responding to me at all. And I'm like trying to tell the whole story of Super Mario Brothers. And that's that. Okay, so James, you can hear us. Great, cool. Oh, okay, cool. So anyway, that is the story of Super Mario Brothers, and like they essentially go to Dino Land, which is where King Koopa and all of them exist, and like they're weird dinosaur people, and it's just like massive chaos the entire time. And I can't even explain what is happening for the most part, because like there's literally scenes where there'll be like a person. Hi, can you hear me? No, Maddy is frozen.
It's not working.
Hi, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you. All right. Well, anyway, I'm going to keep going. So the chaos is like there's a scene, for example, where there's like I think it's King Koopa is calling. Oh no, it's the police officer. He's calling somebody, and there's like people throwing shit around behind him, and there's like the sound of Super Mario Nintendo noise is happening, and then there's also like somebody's foot is just randomly like stepping on the dude, but like you don't know why that's happening, and that's like how every scene is. It's just like a jumbled mess of nonsense. I don't know where Maddy is. She apparently is never coming back to chat ever again. See, yeah, I can hear her too, guys. I don't know what the deal is. Google Hangouts. This is a Final Insomniacs. We will never need to do this shit ever again, and I am so excited about that. Anyway, I love this movie. I don't know if Maddy's ever coming back to chat. Maybe this is the end of the show. Or she's restarting her entire computer. I really don't know what to expect. So anyway, that is the Super Mario Brothers movie in a nutshell. And like as Maddy said, there's a real Yoshi. There's some other character in there. I think her name is Lena, and like she is also after the crystal that like because of course there's a crystal that Daisy has. And can you hear me?
Is it seriously still not working? Oh my god.
I can hear you.
All right, I don't know what to do. I can't.
Hear us. Maddy.
All right. Well, I guess I'll just stay here, even though I can't hear you at all. I don't really know what to do about that though. Maybe I'll just play you through the YouTube video.
Oh my god, if she does that, if she plays through the YouTube video, there's going to be like a delay. Dun, 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 dun. Google Hangout sucks.
All right, hold on a second.
All right, Maddy's gonna do some black magic with the Wolverine. Oh wait, what did I say was the ritual? I can't remember. I'm so out of it right now. I don't recommend ever getting sick, guys. It sucks. This is a good final episode. I think this puts the cherry on the cake of how all of these episodes have gone down, where essentially the Google chat has broken in some way, and it takes us like 20 minutes to start. And yeah, and then we don't have a show for 20 minutes, and I'm sitting here talking to nobody the entire time.
Okay, I'm back, and I can hear you.
Yay! So I already just told the entire plot of Super Mario Brothers movie.
Good. The reason why it's not working is because for whatever reason it won't let me record.
I just said this is like the cherry on the cake of all the Insomniacs, where Google Hangouts has never worked, so we just made sure that happened. So
no, I know. And people are like sad that this show is going away, and I'm like, why? This is so hard to do. So anyway, my computer will now no longer let me record in Audacity at the same time as this call. So
we'll talk about that later because
YouTube audio my Audacity for the second half of this show.
Okay, hold on.
Is the same thing happening to you?
Yes.
Like it's not letting me record in Audacity.
So you're gonna. Yeah. Okay, so Google Hangouts has apparently blocked Audacity from letting us record. So whenever if you guys have made it this far in the actual podcast version, I'm sorry about the quality. It's Google Hangouts' fault. It's always Google Hangouts' fault.
We can't keep. This is reason number billion why we can't keep doing this fucking show, because it's too hard. It won't let us do it.
In a few months, I'm going to be living closer to you, so we don't need to use like a streaming service. Anyway, so I was talking about like how weird the movie is, and I summarized the plot and the weird characters and the stupid crystal. So if there's anything additional you have to add on about
I don't really. I mean, the movie ends in the weird way. Did you talk about the ending where Daisy just shows up at the very end and knocks on the door, and she's like, Mario Brothers, I need you again, and she's like all badass, and it's like, what the fuck is happening? Because they like thought there was gonna be a sequel for some reason. I guess like for some reason they thought that people would be willing to tolerate this shit.
I mean, you can actually the sequel does exist in comic book form, because like a few years ago there's somebody who worked on the show was like, I have the concept scripts for like what was supposed to happen, so I'm just gonna talk to this illustrator and we're gonna team up and like put it all online.
Because somebody is like an actual fan of Super Mario Brothers. And I think they like contacted us because I feel like we did a different thing that was associated with Super Mario Brothers at some point, and they like emailed it to us. Didn't that happen?
Probably.
I don't remember why.
And we talk about Super Mario Brothers a lot. So, I mean, I don't know. I think I don't know, but the comic is good. It's as weird as like you would expect it to be as the first movie. Like,
yeah, it's a weird comic. I read it and I was like, this is fun and weird.
It's like just pretty much as weird as like everything else that came out of that universe. So
yeah, cool.
I don't know. Right. I mean, like, I think unless you animate a Mario movie, like it's just not. You can't do a live action Mario movie. It just doesn't work. You know, it needs to be a cartoon. Maddie can't hear me anymore. I bet. Oh, I called that. Woo! She'll be back. What else do we have to talk about, guys, today? There is a list of things. Well, let's do some shout outs before we do reader mail. I wanted to shout out to our Patreon supporters. I believe. Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
I can. Okay, so Google Hangouts is just fucking trash. Like, if I
it's just literal garbage.
If I minimize this window and like look at anything else, it stops working. So I don't really know what to do about that because it's going to be really hard for us to like read reader mail.
I'll just do that.
Okay, great.
Apparently. Okay, so I was just doing shout outs to our Patreon supporters.
Yay.
Which we have
Patreon.
Yeah, and I think there's only one that ever because you have the option for us to like or do you have to pledge? I can't remember how we set it up.
Yeah, you have to pledge a certain number, a certain amount, and there's only one person. There's multiple people who have, but there's only one person who actually wants us to say their name, and that's Herb Man. And
it's like not even his real
multiple
name.
People. I don't know if it is or not, but anyway, that person is awesome, and everybody else who's pledged so much is really awesome and has contributed to our videos.
Yeah,
inexplicably, in spite of the fact that we can't fucking use Google Hangouts, and neither can anyone.
Yeah, so I mean, that's why if you guys have any ideas for like Patreon rewards you want for donations, if you guys do want to donate, let us know because like clearly we can't even get our shit together on Google Hangouts. So
I don't think this is our fault. But true. It's why I'm so glad that I'm never going to be using this program again in my life.
This is the last time, forever, for the rest of eternity.
Okay, so let's do some reader mail.
Yeah, and I also wanted to do a shout out to like Taylor, just because he has submitted in the past logos that I've end up using. He's a designer, and I just wanted to say thank you for that because we've used it for our promotions when it comes to using the show, and like he's also always been really great about that. I just wanted to say thank you and to check out his stuff at taylorhicklen.com. I'll put a link in the below at some point when I'm allowed to do that in this. But yeah. Thank you so much for being awesome and for always sending us that stuff. All right. So we have quite a bit of reader mail because it's the final show. We didn't say send us any today, but that's all right. We have a whole bunch. And we're going to start with James. He says, "Hey guys, although it is sad that you guys are going to stop the show, I'm excited for the new show. I was wondering what generic RPG class you would pick it to be if you were suddenly teleported into some fantasy world. Example, I would choose to be a fire mage because fire is cool. Hope you guys have fun doing your new podcast." That is exactly what I would choose. That's like literally it. Like as soon as I was reading it, I was like fire sorcerer.
Yeah. I mean, it's established already on this very episode that we both like fire and Charmander. So I'm just gonna say in this fantasy, I'm assuming that I would also like change into being, some sort of Amazon warrior of some kind.
Just turn into Sheik, just like Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah, I'd be Sheik or I'd be Xena or something. I wouldn't be the petite diminutive human that I am now in this fantasy. I would be like, a 7 foot tall Amazonian princess. So I would be the heavy. I would be the person with the
with the giant sword
doing massive DPS.
Yeah, it's gonna be like you and Steph.
That's what I usually do. I feel like Steph would be like the rogue maybe, or like maybe I'd be the tank and she'd be the DPS.
Maybe you might be right that she might be the rogue. I don't know. I mean, she's a tank when she plays a video game, so she'll probably be the tank. You guys
Yeah.
could both be tanks. Okay, we were camping once and somebody said something stupid and she ripped a tree out of the ground and hit a person with it. Not that I recommend hitting people, killing trees to
But
hit people with it.
Steph's done it.
Yeah. So there's that. All right.
Steph is our DPS in real life if we need one.
We have a couple of emails from Tom. So he says, he wrote in and said, can't have a last morning show without Skye's recipe and joke corner. So here's a backup just in case, or a supersized one for the last show. Anyway, one of my faves is the hidden veggie mac and cheese. It takes a bit of time to prepare, but you can make a ton of it and sit in the fridge for a while and last as a main dish for sides for over a week. That's actually really great because I need food to take to work with me, and I don't have a lot of time to cook it. So thank you for that. And he sent a link, so we'll post that into the description later. And he wrote a joke. If you can still hear me,
I can.
Okay, great. He said, "Why did the hipster burn himself on a cup of coffee? He drank it before it was cool." That is like quintessential Skye joke right there.
I hope Skye's listening at some point.
I hope so too. Eventually she will.
But don't worry, Skye also contributed.
Yeah, we're getting there. And then he says, Maddy, you had mentioned you don't like the short-term P90 because it uses resistance bands, but they have another version called T25 that is all cardio and body weight resistance, strength moves in the lower levels and adds in hand weights in the higher ones. It has a rotating calendar of videos to keep from getting boring, and the instructor, Sean T, is super cute. He is. I'm like, he included a picture just so we could look
just
to
verify. All right,
I know, right? He said, check it out. I lost 30 pounds in 45 days the first time I did it. And he says, anyway, sad to see Insomniacs winding down, but glad everyone is moving on to a new chapter of life. Can't wait for the Robot Nights album to release. And Brian,
oh my God,
Massachusetts is way better than Connecticut, and you're making the right decision. Oh, best of luck in the future. And I may have to actually grow an appreciation of X-Men to just keep listening to y'all. Yeah, you're going to have to listen to that.
Mm-hmm.
He actually sent a follow-up
email. We're going to be good at
emails.
Introducing people to X-Men because it's going to be about the cartoons, which are fun as fuck.
Yeah, and it's going to go in chronological order. Not that means anything, but you know. He also emailed me and said not to make your final show like 3 hours long, but Ryan, you promised me a throwback of the Thundercats relaunch from like 5 years ago. Finally picked up my own copy from Amazon. I can't do an entire throwback right now, but it is very good.
We could do a separate video about that at some point.
Yeah, I will just say it's very good. Me and our mutual friend Katie, who introduced Maddy and I, is obsessed with Thundercats. Not because she liked it first, because I liked Thundercats and was like, you should watch the new show because I think you'd be into it.
And then Katie surpassed you in her fandom.
Which is what happens with
Classic
everything.
Katie.
Classic Katie. She gets like way better at like her fandom than I am.
Yep.
And so it's a good show. It's very dark. The animation is pretty dark, and it does a retelling of the Thundercats story. It's on one planet as opposed to them drifting through space. And all the characters are like really great. Like Chitara is still really great. Tigra and Lino, Kit and Kat are tolerable in this. Panthro is great. But then the last couple episodes are like just a chaotic mess because they were like, oh, you're canceled. Okay, so quickly like finish up all your plot points, and they like just never do anything with it. But you know, I highly recommend it. Pumaira is my favorite character in there besides Chitara because I apparently just like warrior women. So you know, I am friends with Maddy. Okay, so the next one is from Kiko. I can't know if I'm pronouncing that right. He says, hi. I'm a long-time listener of Insomniacs and kind of found my way here through Maddy's previous podcast work. I just wanted to say thanks so much for being around. It's been a weird past year for me, and something I always look forward to was actually the idle-friendly conversation between you both. It's unusual for a podcast to not stay with rigid topics, and I actually like the insight into both of your lives. You both bounce off of each other very well, and the conversation always seems so natural. Not one I can read, apparently.
Yeah, it is natural because it's literally just us talking.
Even if you're just talking about childhood memories, the conversation you both have at the top of most of your episodes about your friends and what's going on in the world is kind of inspiring me to go at podcasting with my best friend. We both live on opposite ends of the U.S. and we rarely get to chat, but the majority of the first hour of us catching up on Discord is exactly like the both of you talking about what's going on with yourselves. And he says the premise is about their queerness, and you know, neither of them are qualified to talk about things, and they're not professional journalists, but neither am I. Like, come on, like, you know, so you know, like Maddy may be the journalist. I do video, like that's my thing. I do photography and videography. Maddy's gone again. I'll keep on reading this. where did I leave off? Here we go. We just love fighting games, but hate the fighting game community. Love video games, but yikes, general video games, folks. We have our anime interests, Sailor Moon, Utena, I think I pronounced that right. I can't remember. I haven't seen that in forever.
I think people pronounce it that way as opposed to Utina, which is what I
Yeah.
thought it was pronounced.
Yeah, or Utina, like.
Yeah.
But you get the picture. We're going to figure it out, and we hope we launch, someone else finds our windy tangents just as interesting. Also, I'm a huge X-Men fan, so your next podcast is right up my alley. Yeah.
Yay.
Oh God, I just hit my microphone clapping.
It's okay. I mean, this episode's gonna sound like shit no matter what.
Oh my God. That was okay. So where I lost my place. Thank you. That was a very sweet email. I'm glad that we were able to inspire you every day. And I say, go for it. Even if like people don't listen to it right away, like we didn't expect anybody to listen to this. Do this for you because it makes you feel better. And then I don't know about Maddie. Well, no, I feel like you do this too, but you'll go back and listen to stuff that we made in the past when it's just us talking, like the throwback theaters we do, like we just like reminiscing on them regardless of
I like those. And I mean there's also like little clips at the Atomic Blue channel that you can check out, just like excerpts from this show that are less long. yeah,
pretty much. All right, so email from Taylor. Hi, Maddie and Ryan. I'm sad this is the last Insomniacs email I'll ever send, but I'm happy you're moving on to X-Men and other projects. Just so you know, Taylor, we'll have email for you to reach us.
You can still email us.
Yeah, so there will still be things for you to email us with, but this is the last one for Insomniacs. It's no secret that this morning show gave me something to look forward to every week, and I will miss it. With that in mind, I'm going to attempt a monthly podcast of my own in March. I recorded a test episode with my friend Lori back in November, but the final week of Insomniacs pushed me to finally upload it and post it somewhere. I sent us a link. Well, we should post that in the description after. I don't really have any questions this week. Thanks again for being so thoughtful and kind during a weird as hell year. On to Mutant Ages. Yes to all of that.
Yay!
Fucking ridiculous here. And it still is. It hasn't actually.
It's actually still ridiculous.
Yeah, it actually hasn't gotten better yet. I'm glad that all these people are like podcasting now because we did it. That's awesome.
I mean, I think we proved that we can set a really low bar.
Well, we use Google Hangouts, so there's that. We have another one from Anonymous that says, Dear Insomniacs, this isn't really a question. I just want to tell you guys that I've been unemployed and battling with severe depression for the last 2 years since graduating from college. And watching your show has helped me get the motivation to wake up in the morning and do things. I still don't have a job, but you guys have gotten me to start working out in the morning and cooking food again. I even got inspired to start drawing again from buying some comics, which I haven't done in years. What I'm trying to say is thank you, Maddie and Ryan. Watching your show has helped a lot. P.S. I'm sorry if this is very awkward. That's not awkward at all. That's very touching, actually.
You're describing our own life story.
I mean, that's why we did this. Is because
it's literally why we did it.
I mean, it's literally how we started. I'm surprised we made 46 episodes.
Is that
I'll be even more surprised when we made like I'll be surprised if we made like 10? All this. Well, no. I think Mutant Ages will be different. I think we'll do a lot more, but like I'm sort of expecting that to be that way. With this, I was just like, let's see how long we can get up in the morning for.
Yeah, I think we both thought that maybe it would last like 10 episodes, if that. I didn't think we'd make it at all. At all. And now here we are a year later still doing this. Yep,
that's true. And before we get to Skye's recipe corner, I have two things. One, Katie, our mutual friend who introduced Maddie and I in the first place, was trying to write in a reader mail. Katie got lazy and couldn't do it. So she was messaging me like things that she wanted to write. She couldn't pick one, but she was talking about how she was going to write about when we were kids, some of the stuff we did was like we were teenagers and we made a pillow fort when we were like 13, 14.
Like, honestly, mom was like, why are you doing that? Still the pillow fort.
There's pictures of it
on this show before, like how all of our parents came downstairs and like saw that we were making a pillow fort when we were like 13 and 14, and they were like, guys, we can't still be doing this.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. And she was also talking about the time that you and I and Katie had the video camera where we shot us just like role playing, but you couldn't hear anything.
Oh my god, I still have that.
Yeah, I know. We put the video camera at the top of the stairs.
Yes. And then we went downstairs and role played as our original character.
Yeah, we're like at the end of the driveway and you don't hear us saying anything. And then we just go into the house and we scream, and like Maddie's playing the piano, and then something happens where like a chase breaks out and I've got a golf club and everyone's screaming and running around.
Yeah.
that's
He's got the golf clubs. Yeah,
again,
it's a terrible video.
It really is. Maybe someday we'll post it. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. But Katie was talking about that stuff, and she's been obviously supporting our stuff all this time, and she is unofficially been our like production manager for like 20 years and like is really undercredited for it. Like she did like all the behind the scenes stuff for GENO, except for the way that Kristen did it
for it. But yeah,
I mean, in that particular situation, yeah. But most of the time, like she's joined all of our stupid projects and just like organized them in the background. So like, shout out to Katie and for introducing us, because like without her, none of this would be possible. So we've known each other our entire lives. And the other thing is, and this will be very short, is that I was trying to find something that I wanted to like read for Maddie, and I was like trying to find like a short, like 1 paragraph story. I could not find anything, but I did find one of the many variations of like a Super Smash Brothers video game that I designed with Maddie and I. And I don't want to read all the characters, but I will read Maddie's
like
and I.
1,000 years long. Yeah, okay. Read
it. So basically, I wrote like this ridiculous Super Smash Brothers thing where like everybody, all of our friends were like characters in Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
And then after that, like a whole bunch of characters that are like copyrighted show up, and then some of our own characters. It's like out of control. And so this was written in like 2000, and I think it was like 2000. And it says for Maddie's attacks, her A move is a karate chop, a B is a whip, her B up is an ice jump freeze, B down is ice super kick, B right and left is a giant ice cube charge, and Z karate grab. I don't know what the ice thing is.
I think it's because for a while we wanted Kit to have ice powers.
But why do you have them?
I don't know, because I'm awesome.
Your attack is to kick a giant ice cube at people. Like, why isn't one of these moves like you throwing a Pokeball and Ditto coming out? Like,
I mean, I don't know. I think we just thought that it would be cool if I had ice powers. Like you had fire powers and I was Iceman, which is
probably
weird because...
But that's not even what I have in my set, because my set includes A is punch, B is throw sunglasses, B up is explode. B right is to trip and fall and roll at a character. Z is to grab with the tinsel. Now, this is where shit gets ridiculous, because then B down I transform into Albert Wesker.
That's fine so far.
In which A is a super punch, B is a super strength punch. I don't know what the difference is. B up is a fast high jump. B down I transform back into myself, and B right is super speed hit, and Z is grab. I don't know why I got like a way better like move set than you did. Also, some of those movies were like exactly the same.
I know, it was like, how many times can you say punch and still have it be what is like happening?
Super punched, super enhanced punch, super
another punch, turn into Wesker. I have a punch again. I'm Ryan, and I can still punch you.
This is gonna be a game we're gonna make where I transform to Albert Wesker, and there's gonna be no copyright issues with that.
Of course not.
I mean, I don't know. The new Resident Evil movie has him just in the background drinking whiskey the entire time, so that's a thing.
I mean, if they can get the rights to Albert Wesker, then I think we can.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, James, there's one more for James. I'm sorry. It says, guys, do you have any favorite types of coffee or ways to make coffee? I feel like this is important to talk about on a morning show.
It probably is, and we should have brought this up earlier.
How come we never talked about that?
I don't know. Ever? I don't know. No, I think we have, because you remember like a recipe that I did several months ago was about how I have one of those little milk frothers, and I'm always making lattes in the morning.
That's right. You did talk about that.
I did, but I don't think I talked about how I make espresso, because I don't have an espresso machine. So I make kind of like a fake version of espresso, which is, there's this thing that you can get online. It's called a mocha pot, and you can also use it when you go camping or whatever, if you want to make espresso on the go. And it's just like a little tiny pot. It's like that high, and it's silver, and you can just make like 1 or 2 shots of espresso with it. I don't know. It's maybe like a shot and a half in terms of how much it gives you.
Yeah.
And you put water in the bottom section. It's 3 sections. There's water in the bottom section, and then the middle section you put in ground coffee, like very finely ground coffee, and then the top section is empty. And the water boils, and as it boils, it goes through the coffee and creates coffee in the top section. And once it's done, the top is filled with espresso. And then you pour that in, and then you put in your milk, and it's delicious. And that's what I do every day in the winter.
That does sound delicious.
It is good. It takes a long time. If I didn't work from home, I wouldn't fucking do this. but I do work from home, and so I can afford to kind of have slowly made coffee.
I mean, I do a French press.
You do a French. I also have
which
a French
also
press.
takes a long time because
It does,
you sort of
but it
have to like.
as long as what I just said.
No, it does not. But like you do have to let it sit there, and then you have to like press it. So you have to like.
Yes.
It's not like in the morning where you can set a coffee machine and then like it's done when you wake
I
up.
used to do that. I used to have an old school coffee machine and just.
I mean,
make
so did
coffee.
I. But like,
But
I like the French press.
I
And
do too.
that's how I do it. And if I have to pick like a coffee flavor, I really like mocha. And at Dunkin' Donuts, I am a huge fan of the French vanilla and always will be.
Yeah, right on.
Dunkin' Donuts.
We're old school Boston. I still love Dunkin' Donuts coffee. It's not even like good. I'm not going to defend it as like an artistic coffee.
When Starbucks rolls out their like holiday stuff, we'll get some of that. But like Starbucks, like literally is like, here's a cup of coffee that's also 700 calories, and it's like that's crazy.
I think it's also like just like an actual Starbucks coffee. It does taste different. They roast their beans differently, and it's a little more bitter.
For a while, they used espresso before Dunkin' Donuts did, but Dunkin' Donuts now does do that. So
I can get a latte at Dunkin' Donuts, and it's delicious. So whatever.
Coffee Coladas is KG's favorite, and I can't disagree. Their hot chocolate is also really good. Okay, sorry.
So anyway, I'll just quickly say what I actually drink, which is I use a coffee subscription service. It's really cheap. It's craft coffee, and it's $9.99 like every 4 weeks, and they mail me one. And the kind of coffee that I get is called Metropolitan. It's the cheapest one. And I'm a fucking cheapskate, but it's delicious and I don't have to buy it.
It doesn't matter. It's coffee.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have to buy it is the real thing. Like I don't have to go to the store and buy it. They mail it to me. It's always there.
Yeah, I mean,
so I definitely recommend.
I would not be surprised if you start peapotting yourself groceries.
I would. That is too expensive for me. But $9.99 every 4 or 5 weeks is not too bad. Yeah, that's what I do. Anyway, that's it.
I don't believe we have any more reader mail. We just have Skye's recipe corner, and it's
yay.
I don't know if this is gonna work, but
well, I was gonna try to plug it into my mixer, but that seems like tempting fate. Do you want me to just play it like on your phone? My microphone?
Yeah, do that. Skye called in this week's.
Skye gave us a a recorded message. I don't know if this is a song or like what. I don't know what this is.
She tells a joke that's like pretty lengthy. I listened to it because I wanted to make sure it worked. So,
all right, let's try it.
I'll let you know if I can hear it.
Hey everybody, this is Skye. I'm going to be bringing you the recipes and a joke today.
Yay!
So the recipe is really simple and fun. I don't know. What's fun? It's Italian sausage, peppers, and onions. Ta-da! But you start with 6 links of...
Oh my god. No. No!
Did you stop?
I think it's because my phone just locked. Let me see if I can...
Sweet Italian sausage.
All right.
Okay.
And that doesn't mean that they look like Link. It means that's just what you call sausages.
Oh my god.
Weird, right? You need 2 tablespoons of butter, 1 yellow onion sliced, half red onion also sliced, 4 cloves of garlic minced. You can use more if you like. I always like to use more. 1 large red bell pepper sliced, 1 green bell pepper sliced. So that one doesn't have to be large, but either way. It just depends. Depends on how you like your distribution of the colors there. 1 teaspoon dried basil, 1 teaspoon dried oregano, 1/4 cup white wine. Now, interestingly enough, I recently read on Wikipedia that it's a common misnomer that all the alcohol cooks out. You actually do have some alcohol left, but
that's
still not enough to get you sauced, really. So should be fine.
Or you just add in more.
So this is a pretty quick recipe. Like basically, it's going to take you like 15 minutes to chop up everything.
That sounds really good. Sounds like a lot of work, but it sounds super good.
It's simple. This is one of these, you just chop everything up and put it in a pan. So anyways, here's the instructions. Place the sausage in a large skillet over medium heat and brown on all sides. You can turn that with, anything that's not going to damage it, really. You're fine. You know, just don't use like a fork because then you're probably going to get splatted on, you know?
So maybe like a spatula?
Don't burn yourself. Remove from the skillet and slice. Now, I mean, some people like to slice it, some people don't. I think it's good. Just slice it up.
I would probably slice it up.
Melt butter
or
in a
just
skillet.
eat it all whole.
Stir in the yellow onions, red onions, and garlic, and cook to 2 to 3 minutes. So just enough to, like, you know, warm it up a little bit. Mix in the red bell pepper, excuse me, and green bell pepper. Pickle and oregano. Stir in the white wine. Continue to cook and stir until peppers and onions are tender. You'll also notice the onions changing color, at least the white ones. But yeah, they don't have to get caramelized. You're just looking to get things so it's not... Bell peppers are pretty hard, you know?
Yeah, they can get slimy if you cook them too much.
Before you cook them.
Yeah,
so
all that
that's what we're trying to do here. Get everything, you know,
kind of
chewable.
want it all constituted.
Return the sausage slices, that stuff, to the skillet with the vegetables. Reduce the heat to low.
This made me
cover,
so hungry, by the way.
And
I know, right?
For 15
Need
minutes.
some stir fry. That will clear my
heated
sinuses.
thoroughly. That's it.
The end.
That's as simple as it is. And, you know, you can use hot sausages, sweet sausages, or a
there
mix
is
of
a
sweet
joke.
and hot. Depending on your preferences, you know, it's up to you.
I'm a wuss.
Okay, so for the joke,
for me.
I don't know if you've been following Kojima and his adventures with Mads Mikkelsen and Norman Reedus, and just how cute all that is.
It's
at least,
adorable.
You know, to me,
it's kind of super gay.
But it makes me wonder, like, you know, like Kojima had that whole thing where he had to make up a weird excuse for why Quiet had to wear that bikini, that ridiculous bikini.
Yes.
And it's just like, you know, he didn't have to make an excuse. Obviously, you know, that's a whole discussion. I'm sure Maddy can fill you in on that discussion if she wants. But like, it makes me wonder if he does that in his personal life too. He's like, oh, I can't do a voice. I can't, obviously. I don't know. I've hardly heard him talk. So anyways, so he's like, oh, Mads, you have to have tea with me, because if I don't have tea with you, then my liver shuts down and it's just bad for me. So you have to have tea with me. Or like, when after they have tea, they're walking around and he's like, oh, Mads, we have to hold hands. You know, because if we don't hold hands, then I won't be able to sweat, and then my body will overheat or something. And Mads is just like, all right, man, whatever. I'm a Dutch guy, so I'm going to do it. And anyways, I just like to think about that, like, you know, because he has this whole thing where he's like, oh, I have all these man crushes, but I'm totally not gay. So I wonder if that's like one of those things, just like,
does Kojima say that, or Mads? Or do they both say that?
They both say it, probably.
In the bikini, and here's the excuse of why. And it's just like, yeah, dude, come on. Just
be open about it. I don't...
No one cares. Well, I mean, people care, but not as much as you'd think. Anyways. That's kind of the joke. I don't know. Yeah, that's what I came up with. I'm sorry. What am I gonna do?
That was perfect. In every way.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye,
thank you,
Skye.
Skye. Bye.
That kind of worked. I played it. I did it.
It actually sounded fine. So that's good.
Thank you, Skye, for recording something.
The final,
even though you couldn't be on the show, we much appreciate it.
Yep. All right. I don't have any recipes. I'm out.
Hey, we talked about coffee for like 5 minutes there.
We
That
did.
should totally
I think I said throwback cereals. No, that was last week. I don't. Wait, is it this week? Did I just write it again? All right.
I don't know, Ryan. I don't know.
I don't know. We've talked about cereals before.
I guess now we have to end the show, which is really sad. It's more sad than I thought it would be.
It is. Well, it is, but I'm also excited not to use Google Hangouts ever.
Oh God, yeah. Do you like how it crashed 60 times over the course of this call?
Like, made sure to like be the complete Insomniacs experience today.
I'm so sorry, everyone. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry
Well,
that
and
this
also
is the
crashed-
show that you chose to like. Because really, I don't know why. I don't
It
know.
also crashed our recording stuff, so you're getting a weird podcast.
I don't know what to tell you. We're going to try to do a better job with our next show.
Well,
We're
yes,
going to
okay,
really
but
try.
Go to on Twitter and follow the Mutant Ages. That is our next podcast. We do have a start date. Well, it's start-ish date. It's going to come out the week after Logan. So
Yeah, and we might record it. We might record it before that because we'll talk about that off the air.
Yeah. But
we'll figure
anyway,
it
so
out.
the point is that the first episode should be like out at the beginning of March. So
yeah,
that is
we're gonna maybe be weekly, maybe bi-weekly, depending on Ryan and me.
yeah, pretty much.
schedule-wise.
And so we're gonna figure that out. But we're gonna go through every episode. We're gonna laugh at them. It's gonna be a good time. We're really excited about the project. We're really excited about GENO and our new Leon and Jill and some of the other stuff and podcasts that we're gonna be working on. You can find all of it at atomicblueproductions.com. You can also find it on Twitter at atomicblueprod and on Instagram at Atomic Blue Productions and Facebook for the same.
Google
and Google Plus.
And you can find us on Twitter individually.
Yep.
I'm Maddy Myers and Ryan is Ryan Pagella.
Yeah, surprise.
So yeah, you can follow us. We're still gonna be tweeting stupid crap at each other all the time, and we're still gonna be.
Of course, and we're gonna be. I mean, X-Men's starting pretty soon. It's already like halfway through February, so you guys will probably have something pretty soon.
Yeah, you'll have something to listen to for sure. And barring snow emergencies, you're gonna have Let's Watch Two Movies app as well to check out. So that's gonna be really fun. And
I would say expect the majority of like all the big things we're working on start coming out like in the summer because I'll be there. So there's so I mean until then it's sort of like like overseas. No, I don't know. Like we're really far. We're separated by we're separated by the Charles River in Boston.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess I'll just say like thanks to everybody who watched these.
Thank you for watching all this and sending all that sweet reader mail. Like
it was
that
really nice. And if we inspired you to make your own show or do anything or work out,
that's awesome. I was not expecting all of that.
That's awesome.
That was really great. And
just remember that we're depressed and we did this anyway. So you believe in yourself and
pretty much do it for you. Don't do it for anybody else. That's my motto. Like, we
make a deeply alienating show that other people don't care about watching and you enjoy making it and
and then we'll be talking about mutants and making videos about aliens. So I hope you're excited.
We are.
I am. So
okay, cool. I guess now we have to actually go. Man, all right.
I have to go take my dog out. Everyone say hi to Lyra. She's not in here. Never mind. Don't say that.
Hi, Lyra.
She'll hear it later. All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
I can't believe that none of that recorded. Anyway,
you're still live, by the way.
I know. I'm just saying. Bye.
Okay.